this is JC. Welcome to Urban Life Guy, where we explore the urban lifestyle and jungle survival. I'm in the jungle once again, and this is a trail known as Bukit Kiara in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We're going for a hike, exploring different parts of it, and later I'll show you my hiking loadout, which is quite different from my full bushcraft loadout. We'll also be testing some equipment along the way, but I thought I'll show you some interesting sights in this particular trail because there's some unique natural features here, which I'm sure you'll be interested to see. So let's get going. So far, we've been walking on main trails. As you can see, it's a very clearly defined route. And then we've got a lot of the tropical vegetation that you can see. Now, if you look at this tall grass over here, this is lalang, or tall grass. Now, often that you see it, it'll be often green. Sometimes it might be dried out. As you can see, there's some dried out parts over here. But the jungle is generally so wet, you can't often make a bird's nest tinder bundle out of it, but this does seem quite dry. Let's just grab a bit and just see how dry that might be. Okay, quite untouched. I just went through a spider web. Yeah, it feels dry, but definitely I can feel the moisture content inside. Probably won't catch a spark. You might be able to use it as some form of kindling. Maybe we'll give it a shot after this. But if it's a particularly dry season where it hasn't been raining, now it's a rainy season, you might be able to get some kind of a tinder bundle out of it. This is pith over here. Now, by itself, this will not catch fire. It is rotten wood, but you can actually put this into a fire and char it just as you would char cloth. And after that, in its charred form, it acts a bit like a charcoal and it can catch a spark. But this is quite wet, but might be able to dry out. Maybe if we cut in a bit deeper, we might be able to get some that will be usable, but just by feel, definitely a lot of moisture, very wet. And then here we have a really large fern tree. Now, a good thing about fern trees is you can make cordage of it. I've showed a previous video on that. This particular fern has a lot of thorns, so you would have to be very careful if you're working with it. Use gloves, and maybe you want to strip more of the bark inside rather than work with these prongs over here. But you can see the natural channel will allow you to use this as a water collection resource as well, almost like a pipe if you need to channel water. That could be used. So the jungle has a lot of resources, even in this particular trail, which is a main trail. And of course, if you go off trail inside, you'll be able to find even more resources that may be untouched by man. As you can see, you might be able to use it as some form of kindling, but it's definitely not going to sustain long. Definitely won't catch a spark. We're using a lighter here, and you'd really have to try to add on more and maybe just hold it at an angle in order for it to continue to catch fire. So might work as kindling for you to then take small slithers of wood then to build on a fire as fuel, but it will not catch a spark. But definitely just good for some initial dry kindling. So when you're on a jungle trail, especially on the hills, it's very common to have steep cliffs just like that. So let's see if we can get a closer look over here. Now, this is a very well defined trail, but if you're on a secondary trail or even off trail, it's very easy to miss something like that, especially if you are tired. So if you're tired, I would always say you have to be extra careful. Never walk along the edge because something might be soft. Like we come here, this is obviously rotted. This would just break and then you could slip and fall all the way down, and that won't be good. Trying to get up and also recovering from any wounds that you have. So always be aware when you are hiking, especially if you're on a mountain or a hill, because these sharp drops are very common. We've got another one right over here. Now that's covered with leaves. You never know if that's soft ground or not. You might just fall right through. So we've been hiking uphill for a bit. We're coming to a clearing, and I believe this is a junction where there's a lot of bamboo. We already see bamboo over here, and if memory serves me right, we'll get more bamboo. And at one point, there are even hikers who built some kind of a temporary shelter or resting point. Let's see if it's here. Yep. Look at that. That's magnificent. As I've discussed before, bamboo is a great source of water, and I did that in previous video. You can check it out in the link in the card above or description below. A lot of dead bamboo, but ample fresh bamboo as well. And look at this clearing. Just a great spot to relax. Obviously the people here brought up wood. It is treated wood, so they cheated a bit, but they would have to have carried it all the way up here. There used to be a tarp shelter here as well. It's obviously been pulled down, probably up for a few years. So let's take a break, take a drink, and we'll continue our hike. Since we're taking a rest, I thought I would show you my hiking loadout. So essentially I would say it's probably about 60 to 70% the same as my complete bushcraft loadout. So do check out that video in the link in the card above or description below. So I'll just show you some of the changes. I won't go into the details because you can check out that video for all the intricate details. I use the same day pack. This is a 20-liter Condor Assault pack. It is a good size. I don't really need that. This is where I usually keep my cook stove and my wood stove, or my cook set rather, but it's empty now. What I do have inside is my water filter. I've also got a tube, and this is to extract water from bamboo, which I've showed before as well. And then over here in front I have a compass and some paracord. So all this could technically go into any of the main compartments of the bag, but I didn't want to detach this. It's quite a hassle to take it off and put it back, so I just made use of that space. But yes, it does add a little weight. If I was really concerned about every single ounce or gram, then I would have taken this out. If not, I just use it for these items for convenience. Now on the front over here, absolutely the same. This is my emergency pouch. Again, I've gone through this in detail before, so it's exactly the same, except I've placed my insect repellent inside here. So this is really just for emergencies. If anything goes wrong, you get lost, you need extra power, we stay out too dark, we've got a light, so it's just for that. So this is an emergency pouch, and that goes right here at the top. In this main front compartment is my first aid kit. So it's all first aid, right? From a first aid kit which has some bandages, some ointment, tablets. We've got the tourniquet, shears, first aid dressing, and more dressing over here. So basically easy to access, and anyone who is with me knows it's here, so if they need to access it, they can get it as well. In my gear compartment, it's virtually empty. All I have is my USGI poncho, and that's because we are in a rainy season, but this can also be used to build an emergency shelter if needed. And then I've just got some cordage which is left over from my bushcraft kit, and I've got a bandana as well, 100% cotton. In this main compartment, which is what I call my clean compartment or dry compartment, is usually where I would keep extra water or food. All I have is some bars. That's just if I ever need some energy. Hardtack biscuit as well. Other than that, it's completely empty, so I'm going really light. Now I'm not carrying my belt today. I'm just carrying the bag. So in terms of water, I'm using a 3-liter hydration pack, which is over here. So this is a Camelback. It's inside the hydration compartment of the assault pack. The tubing comes out over here. I've got a plastic carabiner to hold it in place. Now this just comes out like that. Okay, this should be closed for hygiene purposes. And then when I'm wearing it, when I don't want this to flop around, I just use my chest strap of the pouch or the bag to just hold it in place. And if I need, I just unbuckle that and then I can take a drink. On this side, I have a trekking pole. So we are going for a medium to long hike. Some areas might be a bit more steep and rough than others, or as I get more tired and I just want more support, then I have this available to me. And I've talked about the uses of a trekking pole before, not just for hiking but for bushcraft. You can check out that video as well. And this goes into this breaching pouch. So this is really to hold breaching tools like crowbars and even strips of C4. And then I just put it in here, and then I have another plastic carabiner just to hold it so that if I do happen to have a fall or maybe the pack drops, this isn't going to get lost. So that's basically it for the pack. I'll show you the tools that I'm carrying for this hike. In terms of tools, I just brought out a 2-knife system. I have a fixed blade as well as a Swiss Army knife. So this is a piggyback sheath system, and the Swiss Army knife is my custom camper. So it's got green micarta scales, and this is the standard tool set, but it has a saw, and I like this kind of size. I've also got the fire ant tinder and fire steel striker inside, just in case I might need it. So this is kind of my outdoor Swiss Army knife, and I have a shock cord over here so that there's no way it can fall out. And my knife for choice, since I was only bringing out one knife, I wanted a beefier knife but something that's lightweight because this is a hike, and I went with the DPX gear. So this is the Hest 6, a really nice knife. I have reviewed this before, so do check it out in the link in the card above or description below. And I find that this is a great survival style knife, very lightweight for a 6-inch blade, S35 VN steel, so it just feels confident in hand, and I'm happy to have it on my belt. So if I'm not carrying my typical bushcraft battle belt setup, I am carrying my tactical belt, which is around my waist, and this goes on it, 1.5 inches in width, so it sits there and underneath my shirt, so kind of a concealed carry. Now I am hiking with a buddy, so we did kind of coordinate our tools. So I brought the Swiss Army knife and the fixed blade. He brought, of course, the all-important parang. This is the 10-inch village chandong from my parang, made in Bidor, Malaysia. Of course, the most important 1-2 option in a jungle, great for clearing and chopping. And he also brought a silky saw. We may or may not use it, probably in a hike we may not use it, although we are going to do some bit of a bushcraft and some gear testing, so that's why he has it. But that's his light carry option. Also a 2-knife system for him, so a parang and a saw. So we're on our way again, and now we're on the hunt for the Dinosaur Egg Rock. I know it sounds mysterious. I've been there once before. It's quite fascinating, and I've no idea whether it's natural, man-made, or how it got there. Probably aliens brought it, but we're gonna check it out. We're gonna hunt for it first. So let's go. Being in the outdoors, one of the most important things is to be able to find water. The good thing about the jungle is there's lots of water resource. You can find them in overhanging vines, you can find them in bamboo, and often you can find streams. And we're coming up to one here. So you generally, of course, can hear it, and then you can tell by the ground. And here you can see the water, and that's coming out from the ground right over there. Now, does this mean you can drink this water just like that? Absolutely not. But I would say because we are near one of the source points or the spouts from the ground, you would want to collect water from this part, and then you can filter it or you can boil it. Now, the good thing about collecting water at this point would be there'll be less sediments, so you may not need to do that, first layer of filter. You could straight away boil it, or if you don't have abilities to start a fire and boil water, then you might use maybe a Puree tab. So that's definitely what you want to do. If you do find a stream, you want to try to find out where the source would be, if you can, obviously, and look for the source that comes out from the ground, because that would be the cleanest point. because if you have any animals which defecate or pee in or near the water, if they do it here, it's going to run downstream. But if you go all the way very near to the spout point from the earth, that will be cleaner, at least from that point of view. But always purify your water. But it's always good to know where there is a water source like this. If you're building shelter, you won't necessarily build it right next to the water source, but you would want to look for a spot that's near enough that you can get water. And here we see the top of the dinosaur's egg. Now, I know it doesn't look like it from here, but I'm going to show you the view from the top, and then we'll go down to the bottom. It's actually a giant boulder. You can see this is just the top. It's probably about 1 to 2 stories high, and I've no idea how it got formed. And this is me looking over it, and you can see the drop. So I'm going to go down the path, and then we'll have a look at the egg. And here we are at the base of the Dinosaur Egg Rock. As you can see, it's very round, very big. And it's very interesting how a feature like this can be formed in the middle of a jungle. Normally rocks like that need to be formed with water over time, but we are in the middle of the jungle. Nothing much that really looks like it. There are some smaller rocks which are a bit round, but nothing of this size. So it's just very surprising. So if you know the secret to this Dinosaur Egg Rock, do let me know in the comments below. So we've covered 3.5 kilometers and seen quite a few different interesting sights. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to make our way back now, do some gear review as well. But I don't think there's much to shoot, so I'm going to end the video here and make that 3.5 click march back as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.